This morning, Israelis were jolted awake by sirens once again. The Islamic Republic of Iran launched roughly 40 ballistic missiles towards our homeland. Some failed mid-flight, most were miraculously intercepted by our brilliant air defense systems. But around 10 missiles has been reported broke through and struck hard and caused physical damage and some light to medium casualties. It was reported to be a very dangerous barrage of missiles, so our family rushed to the safe room, hearts pounding, not knowing what the next minute would bring. But like every Israeli, as soon as we were safe in the safe room, we did what we always do. We opened our phones to see the updates. And that's when we saw something totally unexpected. Not just the usual images of destruction from the Iranian missiles and the updates and hearing about the locations hit and the miracles. No, this time we witnessed history in the updates. We saw the news that hours before, President Donald Trump had America strike Iran's nuclear sites, Fordow, Natanz, Isfahan, obliterated. These weren't symbolic strikes. These were precision hits on the heart of Iran's nuclear weapons infrastructure, deep underground uranium enrichment facilities that have haunted the global security community for years. These are the same facilities that the Obama and Biden administrations, over more than a decade, allowed to continue enriching uranium under the JCPOA Iran nuclear deal. Years of appeasement undone in minutes. Why? Well, Secretary of State Marco Rubio explains it quite well. Listen.
What they want is a secret program buried in the mountain where no one can see it and inspectors can only come when they say they can come. If that's what they want, then they're going to have big problems because this is a dangerous, violent, radical regime. Not the Iranian people. We have no problem. We didn't hit Iranian people last night. We hit nuclear facilities. And if what they want is some secret program that looks nothing like the civil nuclear programs around the world, it looks a lot like you're trying to build a bomb, they're going to continue to have problems, not just with us, but with many other countries in the world.
Problems like what? What do you mean?
Like the problems they're facing right now. Listen, why do we have bases in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and Qatar and UAE? All of those bases are there to help protect those countries from Iran. Why did Hezbollah exist? Because of Iran. What does Hamas exist? Because of Iran. How did the Houthis exist? Because of Iran. Who built the IEDs that maimed and killed American soldiers in Iraq? Iran. They're behind every problem in this region. They are the sole source of instability in the entire Middle East, and the world's been paying a price for this for 40-something years. Imagine those people having a nuclear weapon, just one nuclear weapon, or even the capability to being on the threshold of having a nuclear weapon. That's what the world was facing. That is unacceptable. President Trump did the world a favor last night, and now Iran should sort of wake up, the Iranian regime should wake up and say, okay, if we really want nuclear energy in our country, there's a way to do it. That offer's still there. We're prepared to talk to them tomorrow and start working on that. Steve Witkoff has traveled extensively around the world trying to reach that deal with them, but they play too many games. They play way too many games, and now they found out.
President Trump confirmed the attack on the Iranian nuclear sites personally, and I quote, Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. End quote. He wasn't boasting. He was delivering justice. Long overdue. Finally done right. Justice not only for Israel, but for the entire freedom-loving world that has sat under the shadow of a potential Iranian nuclear holocaust, which is exactly what Iran was planning. But let's be clear, this did not happen in a vacuum. It happened because Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu led the way. It happened because Israel stood alone after October 7th to do what we had to do, when thousands of Islamo-Nazi terrorists in Gaza massacred, raped, and burned over 1,200 of our innocent people, when our babies were decapitated, women brutalized and raped, entire families murdered in their homes. While the world hesitated to support us in doing what we have to do, Netanyahu acted. As the Israeli military operation took shape after October 7th, Israeli opposition members, together with Israel's mainstream media, all parroted the lines coming from the Biden administration and other Western allies. Stop the war, don't go into Gaza to destroy Hamas, don't go into Rafah, don't go into Lebanon to destroy Hezbollah, don't. Always criticizing Netanyahu and trying to stop our war effort to protect ourselves. adding commentary that he was continuing the war because it was all about him trying to save himself from court cases, that he was extending the war for political reasons, but it wasn't about protecting Israel. This has been the daily reporting and constant sound bites from leaders of the Israeli opposition parties for most of the war. Honestly, I don't understand where Netanyahu gets his nerves of steel, but he succeeded in ignoring the constant noise demoralizing a nation and him. And he ended up dismantling the Islamic Republic of Iran's terror ring, a strategy that they developed over decades that Netanyahu has taken care of step by step. First, Netanyahu broke Hamas, their command centers in Gaza, Rafah, Khan Yunis, and even under their hospitals and schools that the world screamed at us about. They've all been systematically dismantled. Hamas's top leadership has either been eliminated or is on the run. Its military structure collapsed from within, and daily destruction of the terror infrastructure in Gaza still ongoing, house by house, building by building. Then Netanyahu crippled Hezbollah in Lebanon with an IDF offensive and the unbelievable, miraculous Beeper operation that took out their senior command. Then he neutralized Syria as an Iranian bridge to Hezbollah in Lebanon, following the topping of the Assad regime thanks to what we did to Hezbollah in Lebanon. And finally, Netanyahu took the head of the snake itself, Iran, exposed to our powerful air force after we took out much of their air defense systems after their previous missile attacks on us around a year ago. Thanks to Netanyahu's leadership, the myth of Iranian invincibility is shattered. We destroyed their proxy network that surround us, that they built up over decades. We were able to stop most of their missiles aimed to destroy us, and now their nuclear facilities are mostly nothing but scorched earth. And finally, the United States, under the moral clarity of President Donald J. Trump, acted not because we begged him to act, but because we led. This attack on Iran's nuclear facilities by America wasn't a favor to Israel. It was a recognition that Israel's fight is the fight of the freedom-loving world. It was a reset of American deterrence, long eroded by appeasement and weakness. For around 40 years, Prime Minister Netanyahu has been warning the world about the genocidal ambitions of the Islamic regime of Iran out to get all of us. So-called intellectual elites around the world mocked him. European diplomats rolled their eyes. Consecutive White House administrations ignored him. Israeli senior officials literally sabotaging previous Israeli plans to attack their nuclear sites. And the Israeli political left and mainstream media always portraying Netanyahu as weak and a big talker and just trying to keep his political career alive. They all said that Obama's Iran deal was the best we can get. They said diplomacy would work. They said we will have to learn to live with a nuclear Iran. Netanyahu always said no, every step of the way. And Netanyahu was right. This is what real leadership looks like. It's not polished press conferences and photo ops at UN cocktail parties. It's not surrendering our ancestral homeland and calling it peace. It's not pandering to journalists or chasing global approval. It's waking up before the world does. It's seeing what others refuse to see and doing what others are too afraid to do and try to stop us from doing. This morning, the rubble of Fordow, Natanz, and Ishvan testify to Netanyahu's legacy and to Trump's courage to follow Netanyahu's lead. Israeli opposition leaders, Lapid, Gantz, Lieberman, Golan, they were wrong at every step of the way. They said Bibi shouldn't enter Gaza like he did, and he did, while simultaneously dismantling Hamas and trying to rescue our hostages in Gaza. They said he shouldn't have confronted Hezbollah like he did. And he did, with relentless pressure, operational surprise, and defiant resilience. They said he'd never attack Iran. And he did. They said that Trump dumped him and ruined our relationship with the United States. But instead, Netanyahu coordinated a once unthinkable joint strike with the President of the United States. Just the other week, I was in the Knesset with U.S. congressmen listening to as opposition leader Yair Lapid screamed at the top of his lungs that Netanyahu had lost Trump, that Netanyahu had destroyed our relationship with the United States of America. I translated that from Hebrew to English for the congressman, and they sat there laughing. These opposition leaders also said that Trump would never back Netanyahu on a strike on Iran's nuclear sites. Yet Trump did back Netanyahu, so much so, even with full moral and U.S. military force. But the Israeli public is smarter than these opposition leaders and the mainstream media. The Israeli public sees through their hollow words and media theatrics. And this has been going on for years. The public knows the truth. Netanyahu is not just leading Israel. Netanyahu is leading the whole freedom-loving world. And he's doing it backed by a new kind of Jewish warrior today. Like my own sons, who are part of this generation of victory, who fought in Gaza, Lebanon, and Syria, and been in the tunnels. They faced rockets, terror squads, and global condemnation for what we're doing, which is the most just war in history, and it kept on fighting. This is a generation of warriors forged not in fear, but in faith. They're not victims. They're King David-like lions, not broken children of Auschwitz just trying to live and survive, but proud Jewish warriors growing up in their ancestral homeland with the power to save all of humanity by standing up for the Jewish state of Israel on the battlefield. And it is their courage, their resilience, that paved the path for Trump's historic decision to strike Iranian nuclear sites today. Because let's just say it bluntly, if Israel had not stood strong after October 7th, Iran would still be enriching uranium at full speed. If our sons and daughters hadn't done what was necessary in Gaza to break Hamas, or in Lebanon to dismantle Hezbollah's infrastructure, or on the Syrian front, America would still be issuing words of support, but not necessarily attacking Iran. If Netanyahu had listened to the opposition leaders in Israel and our mainstream media instead of his gut and his faith, we'd still all be sitting ducks under a potential nuclear Holocaust Iran. Instead, we now stand victorious. Not finished, there's still more to do, but victorious. This is more than a military win. It's a spiritual turning point, a prophetic moment. And Netanyahu knows it. That's why he went to the western wall of the Temple Mount to pray before the attack on Iran, and he just went again today. And just days ago, Netanyahu said that the biggest faction in Israel's Knesset makeup of the government is the faction of God's help. It sounds better in Hebrew. It's a poetic statement. Hasiyah achi gdola b'Knesset hi siyata dishmaya. Right? The biggest faction is the faction of God's help. It highlights how Netanyahu himself knows that his faithful leadership today is due to his own personal faith in God and knowing that God is helping us. And Netanyahu acknowledges that when the people of Israel strengthen their faith, as our sages taught, quote, the people will rise like a lion, end quote, which is why he gave that exact prophetic name to the military offensive against Iran, Am Kilavi, a nation like a lion. Today, the people of Israel have risen like a lion. We're not pleading for a seat at the global table. We are shaping the table. We're not running out of fear from war. We're ending it on our terms for the whole world's benefit. And everyone should know, at the end of the day, Hamas will be destroyed. Every last leader, every last tunnel, every last building. Our hostages will be returned and freed. Gaza will be made Jewish again. Not just out of vengeance, but for justice and our security. Trump's immigration plan will be implemented, a moral solution to end the cycle of genocidal hatred by that Islamic religious jihadi ideology. Hezbollah's threats will be silenced with deterrence or with devastation. It's their choice. The Islamic regime of Iran will be beaten because evil cannot outlive truth and justice or good. And Israel will apply sovereignty in Judea, Samaria, and Gaza. And for America, led once again by a leader with moral clarity and courage, it will be positioned to face the China threat without China's reliance on Iran, Iranian oil, or the strength of the Muslim world. This is just the beginning. As I keep on reminding people, Even with the Islamic regime of Iran taken down, the world still has to deal with the jihadi Islam of Qatar, Sunni, Qatar, Turkey, and the global Muslim Brotherhood movement, a movement that is deeply embedded across America and the West, and that's running a potential mayor for New York City right now. But at least we have now given their demonic jihad a huge blow by removing the Shiite Iranian threat. We are blessed to live in historic times, to witness prophecy in action, to watch Jewish pride, power for good, and purpose take center stage again. Thank you, Hashem, God. Thank you, Prime Minister Netanyahu. Thank you, President Trump. This is our moment. This is our mission. This is our generation, and we are just getting started. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah. From Zion emanates Torah. And that Torah is the Torah of good, the Torah of morality, the Torah of God, the Torah of justice, the Torah of winning, the Torah of beating evil. And yes, it's emanating out of the Jewish land of Israel by the Jewish people in Israel today for the benefit of all of humanity. That is our purpose. That is why we're supposed to live here. Am Yisrael. If you are not yet a subscriber to our daily, belief-based, inspiring, politically incorrect, truthful videos about Israel, the Jewish people, and the freedom-loving world, what are you waiting for? Go to pulsevisual.com and click to subscribe today. And yes, we are a donor-based operation. We need your donations for support in order to make these videos and get our videos seen and do all the work we do. So every once in a while, whether a large donation or a small donation, just go to pulsevisual.com and click on the donate button. Shalom, everyone, and thanks for watching.
Pulse of Israel, frontline videos from the Holy Land. Support our work by donating today.